Hello everyone, so this is going to be a video on hygiene on the trail. What I did, what I thought worked for me, what didn't work, what I carried, and all of the hygiene related stuff. I'm still going to do a gear video, I just haven't gotten to it yet because I sent my bear vault and my tent to Lone Pine when I was going to do the Sierra after I got to Canada, and it hasn't come back yet, which is fine. It will come back. It came back the first time I sent the bear vault on its own, and because of that I kind of haven't put in any effort to speed up the process. But when it comes back, I will do the gear video and get that up here for you. In the meantime, a lot of people asked about a hygiene video and, you know, just hygiene on the trail, so this is going to be that. I'll start with hairbrush. I brought a hairbrush. It's really not necessary, but for me, I have really thick hair and it tangles really easily, and it started to dread up a bit in the beginning of the hike. So by the time I got to Wrightwood, I went to the grocery store, I bought a hairbrush, and it was just really nice to have on me. The boys would borrow it a lot and use it for their hair as well. And I mean, it's a luxury item, but it was what I needed so that my hair could stay long and not disgusting. It was also really heavy just because it was the only one in the store and I didn't have any options. So I had Courtney break off the handle because that was the heaviest part of the whole thing. But I'm sure you could find something way lighter. It was all the store had, and once I bought it, I never really cared much to swap it out. It did the job, and it was pretty heavy though. Another thing I brought was nail clippers. Not necessary if you just want to use them in town and not carry them with you, but I didn't carry them in the beginning, and by the time I had gotten to Big Bear, I mean, I was clipping my toenails and my fingernails when I would get to town. By the time I got to Big Bear, I had lost 6 toenails. They were all turning black and blue, and 6 had already come off, and it was like a really big struggle. And I realized that if I were to clip my toenails on the trail every night or two, that I could keep them short enough where they wouldn't come off. I think keeping them short was key to keeping toenails. So I started carrying nail clippers, and ever since I did that, and ever since I started trimming them really short, I never lost another toenail. So for me, that was essential. Shaving, I didn't shave. I shaved in the beginning for like the first couple of weeks, but as the boys were growing their beards and kind of bragging about their beard length and broing out on all that stuff, I started thinking it was funny to not shave my legs and bro out about that. Hey guys, like, you know how long my leg hair is? Like, check this out. Like, yo, look how good it's gotten. And that would just really creep them out, and they really did not like that. And for me, that made it entirely worth it, just to kind of have something to play back at them with. So I didn't shave for the majority of the hike, and I only did right before Canada again because I had put a piece of Leukotape on the back of my heel because I had a blister that was really bad, and for some reason, I can't remember what the reason was, but for some reason I had to take the Leukotape off. And I learned that it is the most painful thing in the world to have a piece of really sticky tape on the back of your leg when your leg hair is really long and you have to take it off. And that was kind of my moment where I was like, we're going to town, I am shaving. But until then, most of the summer, I didn't shave and it was fine. But that's personal preference, I guess. The next thing was brushing teeth. For that, I carried a Ziploc bag that I kept a toothbrush in, and I had a travel-sized toothpaste. I put a toothpaste in every resupply box I had, so every time I got to town, there was a new toothpaste waiting for me, and that was really nice. Toothbrushes, just whatever was in the store. I'd switch it out probably every couple of weeks just because it's in a plastic bag, and you know, things just naturally get dirty, and I wanted to make sure I had a clean toothbrush. So if I was in town and I was in a store and I saw toothbrushes, I'd buy a new one. A lot of people will trim their toothbrushes down. They'll cut off half of it and they'll carry just like the top nub. For me, that seemed a bit ridiculous. I don't really see the point. This part doesn't weigh all that much, and if you're getting that serious into lowering your pack weight, either you've already got like a 5-pound pack or you're just being a bit absurd. So I would just leave your toothbrushes whole, but that's my opinion on toothbrushes. For underwear and socks, that related stuff, originally I had packed 2 pairs of underwear and my shorts had a built-in pair of underwear as well, but I kind of got to the point where I was being really lazy, and so the built-in pair of underwear in my shorts was enough, and I didn't switch between the other 2 pair of underwear. I didn't ever use them. One pair I used, it was like my clean pair of underwear, and when we would get to town and I would wash all my other clothes, and I would wear that pair of underwear while you would do wash, and that was the only reason I even kept it on me. But for the rest of the time, it was just the built-in underwear in the shorts, and that was fine. For socks, I carried 3 pairs for the most part. I started washing them in the streams in the beginning. I would just, no soap or anything, but rinse them out in streams and let them dry in my pack as I'd walk and rotate doing that. But I kind of found that the more I washed them in the streams, the more like crusty and hard and firm they would get, because I think unless you're washing them in a laundry machine, that it's inevitable that you're not going to get all the dirt off. And when I would add water to the dirt that was on them and the water would evaporate and dry up, I think it ended up making them even more hard and crusty and gross, and it was just uncomfortable to wear. And that's how I kind of would get holes in my socks, was it would be hard and then it would rub against my foot and my shoe and then a little hole would form and then that would get into a bigger hole. But I stopped washing them apart from laundry days. I would just rotate them and use the cleanest pair whenever I would switch them, and that eliminated a lot of the crusty hard factors for me. So that kind of worked out, because then I didn't have to wash them, and in turn they didn't break as easily and they just stayed softer for longer. Yeah, so laundry, we would usually try to do laundry when we would get to towns. Sometimes that happened, sometimes that didn't happen. Sometimes we'd go several weeks without doing any laundry. But for the most part, we were kind of able to do laundry every week or 2. And so everything stayed relatively clean. I mean, everything's dirty regardless, but that's kind of how often we did our laundry. In terms of soap and shampoo and things like that, I would strongly recommend don't bring any of it. Leave it all at home. You don't need soap on trail. It's not really LNT principles to bring soap with you. Same thing with shampoo. You're going to be dirty regardless, and you really just do not need it. You don't need it to clean your pots. You can just use water and you can scrub it with your hand. And if you're going to wash your clothes or anything in a stream or a river, you don't want to be putting soap into the stream or the river or any of that. And it's not cool to see someone on trail using soap or shampoo. So if you're going to be doing a hike of any sort, long or short, don't bring your shampoo, don't bring your soap. Just wait until you're in town, because you're going to be dirty again the next day. And I guess while we're on that topic of cleaning, I didn't clean my stuff in the rivers just because it didn't really matter to me. But one thing that did really bother me was when I would be going up to a stream or a river to refill my water and, get water for either drinking or for cooking with or any of that stuff, and people would be washing their underwear and their socks right where the trail intersects the stream. And that's not cool, because you're looking at me and expecting me to get my water that I'm going to put into my body with your dirty socks and your dirty underwear and everything that's running off of them. And sometimes I even saw people that would go off of trail, but they would go upstream. So now everything you're washing off is flowing into where I'm getting my water from. And it's fine because, you think, oh, it's running water, it's all gonna run down. Yeah, I guess in theory, but if someone's trying to get water and you're there doing that, they're immediately getting what you're rinsing off. And it's pretty rude. So if you're gonna be washing your stuff in rivers and that's gonna be your plan, go downstream. Always go downstream. I guess while we're on that topic, deodorant, I didn't bring deodorant either. It it's heavy and you smell horrible regardless, and you can put on deodorant and you're still gonna smell horrible. So you have to kind of just embrace it. Yeah, deodorant's not gonna do much for you, and it's just gonna make your back heavier. So leave your deodorant at home. For bathroom stuff, I carried wet wipes. Some people carry toilet paper, some people carry wet wipes. I felt cleaner using wet wipes, so I would carry a pack of these, and I usually had a new pack in my resupply boxes. I thought I put them in all my boxes, but I learned that I didn't. So usually I would have one to sub out. If I didn't, most towns didn't have the flushable wipes or the ones that are meant for that. A lot of the times they would just have wet ones, which a lot of them would have Clorox in them or chemicals or any of that kind of stuff. But when it came down to it, you take what you can get, and these had to work for the most part. So I would say more often than not, I was carrying wet ones than wet wipes. And that was just something I had to deal with, being the type of person that wanted to have wet wipes over toilet paper. And obviously you pack them out, you do not leave them in your holes or on the trail. That's really not cool. So you pack this stuff out, and yeah, I mean, it's probably not the best to use chemicals like this, but there's sometimes not really an option. So that's what you gotta do. Also, for peeing, a lot of girls would bring pee rags, which is basically a bandana that they would keep specifically for when they would go to pee, and you'll wipe with the bandana, and then I guess every night or every morning you'll wash the bandana in a water source, and then that's clean, and then you'll do it again the next day. For me, that seemed like a lot of effort to, one, add a bandana to the things that you're packing and add that weight, two, to have to wash it every day, and three, it doesn't even sound that clean anyway because you're not using soap. So in my mind, I was not a pee rag person. I would just shake it out and that was fine, and I never had any sort of problem doing that. That worked perfectly okay for me, but some people do like to carry a pee rag, and if that's your preference, then that's okay. Also, you should really pack out hand sanitizer. It goes without saying that if you're gonna be using the bathroom outside and then you're gonna be eating later that day or any of that, you need to pack hand sanitizer. That way you're not eating your own shit. I didn't pack hand sanitizer, and that's only because Gilligan had hand sanitizer, and I don't think there was a single day that we weren't on trail together. So I always had his to use. And it was part of that give and take thing where I had the hairbrush, he had the hand sanitizer, and that kind of made both of our packs go down because we didn't have to each carry both. Some people brought a trowel, which is like that orange shovel that you use to dig your holes when you use the bathroom. I didn't bring a trowel either. I used the bottom of my trekking pole to dig the hole, or I would use a stick to dig the hole. There's a lot of things you can use that don't have to be a trowel. That's kind of mainly good for measuring the depth of your hole, because they're all supposed to be 6 inches deep. But I found that it worked using the bottom of my trekking pole. It was sharp enough to dig with, so I didn't carry the extra weight of a trowel. As for period stuff, that's coming next. A lot of people use Diva cups. I've never used a Diva cup, and I didn't really have an interest in learning how to use one on trail. I'm fine with tampons. I use tampons and I packed them out. Don't leave them on trail, obviously. But that would be a thing. I would have a Ziploc bag inside of my Ziploc bag for trash. And in that inner Ziploc bag would go the wet wipes and the used tampons and all of that. I also really liked it because, I mean, they're small and they don't weigh a lot, but if you use a Diva cup, you're carrying that the whole length. Tampons, I would send them in each resupply box, and if I needed them, great, I'd put them in my pack, and if I didn't need them, I'd leave them in a hiker box for another person if they needed them. So I just found that that was a lot nicer and just convenient for me, but that's all up to preference. But yeah, that's what I carried. Some people carry a lot more, some people carry a lot less. You can honestly get away with just the toothbrush, the toothpaste, and wet wipes. And in my mind, that's all you really need. Hairbrush was a luxury. Nail clippers was because of my toes, personally. And then the tampons were once a month. They would just go in my pack. So really, it's not a lot of stuff. You don't need a lot of stuff. If there's anything I missed, any questions you have about hygiene related stuff that I didn't cover or I forgot to talk about, you can comment it and ask and I'll try to respond. I'm pretty bad at remembering to do that, but I will give it my best.